everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make 2 cards with the Country Bee stamp set from Close to My Heart. So this stamp set comes with a thin cut, and then I'm also using another stamp set called Life is a Journey. So I am setting up my stamp and figuring out which block fits it best, and then I'm seasoning it because it's a new stamp. So I just rub it with a microfiber cloth and then I stamp it off in a lighter color on scratch paper. And then I'm going to flip over my Versamat so that I can stamp on the cushioned side of the mat. And I'm going to make 2 cards today, so I'm going to stamp this bee twice in black tuxedo ink. I'm using this kind of ink because I'm going to use alcohol markers to color the bee with. So I've got my 2 images. Now I'll clean up my stamp and flip my mat back over. First I'm taking a look at different colors to use, and I wasn't completely happy with all of the tri-blend yellows, and so I went back to my old Shin-Han markers and I pulled a yellow from that collection. So I'm going to use both. A yellow in the Shin-Han marker. I'm just trying them out to see what they look like until I find a color that I'm happy with. And then I'm also going to use the light yellow in the tri-blend markers. I have a lot to choose from, so I found some colors that I was happy with. So now I'm going to take my die cut over to my Big Shot and I cut the bee out. Now I'm going to make a background for my card, and I have this stencil from Heidi Swapp and an old retired embossing folder from Close to My Heart. And I'm going to show you how to partially emboss. I don't want the whole background to have that embossing texture on it because I want to stamp on the top part of my card. So this is how you do it. I bring my Big Shot in and then I put it to the right tab and I'm going to place the top plate in a position over the area that I want the embossing texture to show up on. So I don't place the embossing plate flat over the entire plate below it. So when you do it with just part of it on there, then the top part of your card winds up not getting embossed. So now I'm going to cut some additional hexagons. And I think this set, it's either an infinity set from Hero Arts or it's from Elizabeth Crafts. I've had it forever and I threw away the packaging and it's not marked, so I apologize. I don't know where that came from. So, but I love it because you can choose all different sizes of the hexagon. So I've got that, and now I am going to put some color on my card. So I'm going to bring in my glass mat and make sure it's on my desk correctly. And then I just put that other piece of paper where the light overhead reflects on my mat. So I'm using some removable adhesive to kind of tack it down to my glass mat so it doesn't float around. And I'm using saffron ink with a blending brush, and I'm just going to lightly add some color to the textured area of my card. And you just add enough until you're happy with the way it looks. And so I just made a really light wash over the textured area. And then I removed that removable tape with my rub and remove eraser. So now I'm going to do a stencil on the other background for the other card. So I've got this stencil from Heidi Swapp. There are some Cricut cuts on Close to My Heart's collections that you can make your own stencil that is similar to this, but since I had this one, I just decided to go ahead and use this one. So I've tacked it to my card front with purple tape. It's a low tack tape. And then I flipped it over, and now I'm gonna tack everything down to my glass mat with purple tape. And then I can use a blending brush and just go in and put color where I want it in the stencil and as intense as I want it. So I kind of did a dark intense towards the top, middle, and then it faded out towards the sides. And then I remove my stencil and you can see the magic. There it is. And then I'll get everything cleaned up here. And then I'll bring in my Close to My Heart Versamat as a work surface to finish assembling my cards. So with this first one, I'm going to stamp a sentiment, and then the stamp set has some small hexagons with outlines. And so instead of adding some gems or jewels to the card, I'm going to use those hexagons. So I'm kind of laying everything out to see where I want things to go on my card. And then I decided I needed some more saffron cardstock hexagons to put my sentiments in. So I'm figuring out what sizes I need. I want to use the Be Happy sentiment from the Life is a Journey stamp set. So I took those over to my Big Shot and I cut a couple more hexagons in saffron cardstock. I'm filming as I'm designing and creating this card, so a lot of it is trial and error, see what it looks like and see what happens, and I just go from there. So I've decided to stamp the Be Happy on the small hexagon. And that's in Black Tuxedo ink. And I'm going to do it on both of the small hexagons for both cards. They're both going to be similar cards, but if you've got everything out, why not make two? So they're going to be a little bit different, but the basic design is similar. Okay, so I'm laying everything out and kind of figuring out where I want to put those small hexagons. And then I thought I was going to use the Black Tuxedo, but then I decided to get some espresso. That's a dark brown, and I'm going to layer my card with colors of cardstock, and that's one of the colors I've set aside to use. So I'm stamping the outline in espresso, kind of making them look like they're scattered jewels, but they're stamped. And then there's filler hexagons to fill in a color inside that outline. And so I'm using saffron for those. So I'll take you through the assembly of the first card, and then we'll skip ahead with the second card. So I've got everything stamped out and figuring out if I want the light side or the dark side of the saffron and how I want to layer everything. So I'm going to build my card. And it's going to be a side folding A2 card. And I'm adhering it with the Bonding Memories broad tip glue pen. I'm just layering colors on top of each other. The espresso is cut at 5.25 by 4.25. and then a 1/4 inch down for the saffron, and then another 1/4 inch down for the decorative card panel. And then I decided that this one needed a little extra something, and so I got out a sponge dauber and I am inking the edges of the card to kind of distress it, and I'm using saffron to kind of give a soft border around this decorative card front. And then I decided that the hexagons also needed to be inked. So got those all inked up. All right, and now I'm ready to finish putting my card together. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to pop this with foam tape, but then ultimately I decided to go ahead and adhere it with the broad tip glue pen. And then we'll skip ahead after you don't need to watch me put foam tape down on each of these little hexagons in the bee, but I just pop them with some foam tape. I'm kind of laying everything out, figure out where I want everything to go, and then I'll use the thin foam dots. And so that's all done. And then I decided that it needed a little bit of shimmer, so I got out my clear shimmer brush and I brushed that on the wings of the bee. It's hard to see it on camera, but it gives it a really nice sparkly finish. So that's the first card. And then we'll skip ahead to assembling the second card. I popped that decorative panel. Oops, I need to show you the stamping that I did on it first. I got this arrow. It's like a dotted arrow, and it came from the Oh My Heart collection. And so I stamped that with espresso ink. And then I stamped a couple of hexagons in espresso. The outlines in espresso, and then I'll fill in with saffron ink. And that's what happens. And the great thing about clear blocks and clear stamps is if you don't get a perfect impression, you can go back and fix it. So now I'm filling in with those hexagons. And then I used my ink dauber to ink the edges of this hexagon. And I decided to keep the edges of the art panel clean. So, and then I decided to try my gold shimmer brush on the body of the bee, and I really liked the way that looked. So now I've got everything assembled and adhesive down. I popped the art panel, the vanilla panel, and then I popped the bee and the sentiment. So I appreciate you watching my video, and if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be able to find all of my videos. You can find all of these supplies in my online store, and I'll make a list in the description below with links. And thanks for watching.